Good afternoon. You're watching Businessworld live here on One News. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Thursday. All right, shares on sell-off mode today after reaching 6,900 yesterday. Local stocks went back to the 6,800 level after sliding 0.4%. Trading was off to a good start in the earlier part of the session, even going as high as 6,925, but things went downhill from there with shares ending Thursday at 6,875.71. This is foreign investors return to dumping mode again with net sales at 2.7 million pesos. This comes on the heels of foreign direct investment surging 139.5% in March to $808 million as of end March. FDI inflow already at $2.377 billion. That marks a 45.1% increase from the same period last year. Now, looking at specific stocks here, you'd see Pure Gold led gainers higher by 3.7% to 39 pesos a share. San Miguel also climbing by over 3%. On the downside, you have Ayala Corporation declining the most by 3.2% to 808 pesos and 50 centavos a piece. Now, JG Summit and Metro Pacific also dipping by more than 2%. But while shares may be gloomy today, one thing that might spark some hope here, more vaccine supply and possible easing of restrictions in NCR. I'm talking about 1 million Sinovac doses, which have already arrived today, and 2 million doses more of Pfizer via the COVAX facility expected to land to the country tonight. This should at least mark the highest single-day shipment of vaccines in the country. Recall that vaccine czar Carlito Galvez has apologized for the delay in vaccine arrivals, but assured that stock will be stable by June 14th. But other than that, the palace is also hinting at the possibility that quarantine restrictions in NCR will be de-escalated to normal GCQ from GCQ with heightened restrictions. Palace spokesman Harry Roque said numbers are looking good for the capital, where healthcare utilization rate remains low. Now, more businesses might also open. Roque says the IATF will discuss today if gyms should be opened. Trade Secretary Mon Lopez told Filon earlier today that they are hoping to get IATF approval for the opening of indoor non-contact sports as well as gyms. He says such activities are really next in line for reopening. We'll try to keep track of those developments and see how that might also move sentiment in the market moving forward. Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The Senate Committee on Energy wants a contract with power reserve providers in the next 30 days. This is after the rotational power outages that were experienced in some parts of Luzon last week. Panel Chairman Senator Win Gatchalian says the two-day rotational brownout last May 31 and June 1 already cost the economy 116 million pesos in losses. Gatchalian also urged the Energy Department and the Energy Regulatory Commission to stop pointing fingers and sanction the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines for failing to ensure sufficient power reserves. Now, the city of Manila dropped 6 notches in the global ranking of livable cities. Philippine Star reports that Manila now ranks 109th out of 140 cities that are most livable in the world. British research firm The Economist Intelligence Unit uses stability, healthcare, culture and environment, education and infrastructure as benchmarks for the ranking. Manila scored lowest in healthcare. Recall that strict lockdowns have been imposed in Metro Manila after separate incidents of infection surge. Now, topping the Global Livability Index is Auckland in New Zealand, which has been a model country in terms of COVID-19 management and response. All right, the country is boosting digital banking after the central bank awarded licenses to 2 more digital banks, including India-backed Tonik Digital Bank. Now, question is, are they ready to compete with traditional lenders, which have already forayed into the digital space? Let's get answers from Long Pineda, President and Country Head of Tonik. Good afternoon, Long.
Hi, Jess. Good to be here.
So, how much of a milestone is this license from the BSP, and how is this going to fast track your services?
Okay, with the digital bank license, we actually now have more ability to provide additional products and services, and not only to Filipinos living in the Philippines, but also Filipinos living abroad. So, this digital bank license is really very important to fast track and kind of leapfrog how Tonik is going to operate in the Philippines.
Now, you've only been in the market, at least officially, for around 3 months. You started in March. How's that coming along in terms of accounts and deposits?
Well, let's put it this way. Since we opened officially to the public on March 18, we've been able to generate a little over 2 billion in a span of 2 months in terms of deposits. And we're still seeing growth, much more, much faster growth in the way our deposits have been growing. We also expect to get even more clients coming in once we launch our loan product by the early part of July.
Now, can you give us more idea here regarding the accounts that you were able to acquire since you started in March? Most of this coming from which areas and demographics?
Well, because Tonic is a digital bank and we operate on a purely digital platform, which means we're available to everybody in the Philippines, regardless of where they're located, for as long as they have an active mobile phone and they have a good internet or good mobile signal, they can easily open an account with Tonic. And this they can do in a span of 5 minutes. So we're trying to take away the pain that most depositors have when they open an account with a traditional bank for the first time.
And also, along the pandemic, of course, has accelerated the use of digital finance, especially in 2020. And a lot of traditional banks have already capitalized on that. How are you faring compared to these well entrenched lenders, which have ramped up their digital banking services since the pandemic started?
Let's put it this way. A lot of the players that are out there, including traditional banks, as well as a few that have actually set up their digital platforms, the processes they have are not as fast as what we have in Tonic. So another thing that makes us different is it's easier for people to onboard with initially for a basic deposit account. All they need is to do a facial scan, put in their key in their mobile number, put in their signature, and an account is open. Compared to a traditional bank, you don't even need to make an initial cash deposit to be able to open your account. So it makes it a lot easier.
Mhm. Now, also in a market of 110 million people, I mean, where two-thirds presumably are unbanked, just what slice of the market are you hoping to take a bite of, at least in the near term?
Well, initially, we are not aiming to be the bank for everybody. We're not aiming to be one of the big universal banks. We are targeting people who would like to grow their deposits, grow their savings, and grow it bigger. So we would like to be the bank where they grow their money. We don't necessarily want to take a big chunk out of the market, but we would really like people who would like to see their money earn more for them move to Tonic because we have pretty interesting and good interest rates to offer, as well as very unusual deposit products in Tonic.
Do we expect Tonik to at least be reliant on overseas Filipinos as well, since we're talking about digital banking here?
Well, right now, because we're just about to start operating as a digital bank, it's going to take maybe at least a month or two before we can officially perform as a digital bank. With our existing license right now, which is that of a rural bank, we still are unable to serve the OFW market, but we expect to see that coming in the next couple of months. We've had pretty good inquiries, pretty good interest from OFWs asking if they can already open Tonic accounts. So what we've suggested is maybe have your families open accounts with us first. And when we are ready to accept deposits from abroad, then we will let you know that you can now on board, even if you're like in Dubai or in Hong Kong or Singapore.
Okay, but still, of course, you are eyeing the OFW market before the year end, like what you mentioned. Now, to date, you have already raised $44 million in funding. How did you use the proceeds so far, or where have these funds been earmarked for?
Okay, we've raised $44 million, and this has primarily been raised through our holding company in Singapore. That entire amount hasn't yet been brought to the Philippines. It hasn't yet been brought to in terms of equity. Only a portion of that is actually in the Philippines right now. The bulk is still with our holding company because we plan to deploy that to the Philippines in tranches as we grow the business. So we don't want the local bank, Tonik Bank, to get saddled with too much cash and impacting on how our ROI works if we have too much money right now. But we have a war chest that's ready whenever the need arises for us to bring in the funds. And based on the requirement of BSP, a digital bank needs to have 1 billion pesos in minimum capital requirement, and that is already ready. It's in our war chest.
Now, Long, one other disruptor in the financial space are digital wallets. How do you expect to compete to such digital wallets, which have already somehow established a loyal base of customers and clients?
Well, the main difference between digital wallets and what we offer at Tonic is we do offer deposits that have better interest rates, and it also makes perfect sense that the deposits that the clients open with us are insured by the Philippine Deposit and Insurance Company, something that you do not see with a wallet that does not belong to a bank. So I think that will make the deposit or the money of our customers more secure.
Optimistic are you with the Philippine market here? What level of growth are you looking at here for Tonik?
Okay, what was surprising is when we launched in March, we were thinking that because we were the new kid on the block, there would not be as much interest, much take up on Tonic because people don't know us. We were thinking that maybe people would deposit like the equivalent of $100 or 5,000 pesos in their accounts, and we were pleasantly surprised that people were depositing like 10 times that amount, which actually shows that there is growing trust in Tonic Bank. And it does help that we have been really vetted well by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. And we have partnered with, we actually have like good vendors behind Tonic in terms of ensuring the security of the deposits of our customers.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Again, another disruptor in the financial space here in the Philippines. Tonik Country Head and President, Long Pineda. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Jess.
And those are the biggest stories this trading day, June 10, 2021. Catch Business World live again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.